In the lively town of Reby lived a little girl named Ephy. Ephy had always loved walking. Even as a child, she never sat still. While other girls played with dolls, Ephy followed her mother to the market, learning how to count money and bargain like an expert. When she finished school, she got a job at a textile factory. Ephy was always the first to arrive at the office and the last to leave. She was known as the woman who never got tired. While other workers rushed home at the close of work, Ephy stayed behind, reviewing files and planning for the next day. And soon, she became one of the best workers in the factory. She was gifted a sewing machine. Ephy loved her job. Every morning, Ephy wakes up excited to chase deadline, solve problems, and climb higher in her career. She had no time for distractions, especially marriage. Ephy, you're not getting younger, her mother often reminded her during their evening calls. Mama, leave me alone. Work is my husband. I feel alive when I work. Ephy believed in independence. She wanted to buy her own things, make her own decisions, and build a future for herself. But everything changed the day she met Uvie. Uvie was different from any man she had met. He was calm, confident, charming. When he looked at her, she felt special. Uvie, on the other hand, was fascinated by her strength, but often gave small comments that made her pause. "You are always busy," he once said, watching her flip through documents during their lunch date. Despite their differences, love has a way of changing people. Against all odds, Ephy fell in love with Uvie's simplicity. His strong opinion sometimes irritated her, but his kindness and charm won her over. When Uvie proposed, she hesitated. "Are you sure you can handle a woman like me?" Uvie smiled. "Well, time will tell." And then they got married. At first, everything was perfect. Uvie treated her well, and they laughed together. But soon, small things started to change. Uvie often observed how Ephy rushed from one meeting to another, barely having time to breathe. One evening, as they ate dinner, Uvie looked at Ephy. "I think it's time you stop working." Ephy almost choked on her food. "Stop working? Why?" Uvie's voice tightened. "You are my wife now. A woman's place is in the home, taking care of her husband and children." Ephy laughed, thinking he was joking. "I love my job, Uvie. You know that. Besides, we don't have children yet." Uvie forced a smile. "But I can provide for us. You don't need to stress yourself." Ephy frowned. "It is not about money, Uvie. My work makes me happy." Uvie didn't argue that night, but the matter didn't end there. Day by day, he kept bringing it up. He would sigh when she comes home late. He would make comments about women who stayed at home and took care of their families. His mother, Mama Uvie, even started visiting often, telling Ephy a good wife stays home for her husband. At first, Ephy resisted. She loved Uvie, but she also loved her job. But the pressure became too much. She wanted peace in her marriage. She didn't want to argue every day. After many sleepless nights, she made the biggest decision of her life. So one morning, with tears in her eyes, she walked into her boss's office and resigned. She expected to feel relief, but she felt lost. For years, her life had been filled with work, early mornings, busy afternoons, and the joy of earning her own money. Now, She had nothing to do. That evening, Uvie came home and saw her. He smiled widely. So you finally did it. Ephy forced a smile. Yes, I resigned. Uvie hugged her. I am proud of you, my love. Now, you can focus on our home. Ephy wanted to be happy, but something inside her felt empty. The next morning, Ephy sat up in her bed, rubbing her eyes. There was no buzzing phone, no emails to check, no urgent deadlines, just silence. One morning, Mama Uvie visited. She looked around and nodded in approval. This is how a home should be. A woman's hand should keep the house in order. Ephy smiled politely, but inside her, she felt irritated. Why does everyone think a woman's only job is to clean and cook? As time passed, things got worse. Uvie, who used to praise her, started complaining. Ephy, why is the soup watery? Why are you still sleeping? Women wake up before their husbands. You are at home all day. Why is the house not spotless? Ephy bit her tongue. Before, I was too busy with work. Now, I am not doing enough. Ephy started feeling useless. She had given up her job for peace, but all she got was insults. The next day, Ephy stepped outside. The neighborhood was alive. Women chatting by their stores, children playing in the dust, traders shouting prices. Ephy watched a group of women carrying baskets of vegetables, laughing as they walked to the market. They have something to do, but me? She sighed and turned back to the house. She had just finished scrubbing the floors, washing clothes, and cooking lunch. Everything was done, yet she felt restless. She missed the rush of work. She missed having something to look forward to. That evening, Uvie returned home in high spirits. Ephy, I have a good news. Ephy's heart leaped. What is it? My friend Osas, his wife, got a big contract. We are celebrating at his house this weekend. Ephy forced a smile. That's great. Uvie did not notice her lack of excitement. He continued talking about Osas's wife's success, while Ephy sat silently. Osas's wife still worked. She had business. Nobody forced her to stay at home. So why was my case different? She thought to herself. That night, as Uvie laid beside her, she whispered, Uvie, do you think I should start a small business at home? Uvie frowned. Why? Am I not providing enough? It is not about the money. I just want to feel useful again. Uvie sighed. Ephy, let's not start this. You want peace, right? This is peace. No stress, no work, just you and our home. Ephy stared at the ceiling. Peace? Then why do I feel like I'm drowning? She didn't argue. She just turned her back and closed her eyes. The next morning, Ephy couldn't take it anymore. She needed advice. She needed to talk to someone who understood. And so, she went to Tega's shop, a small but busy place filled with colorful fabrics. Tega's hand moved swiftly as she folded materials. Ephy, she exclaimed, you look, studying her face, you look lost. Ephy sighed. Tega, I don't know who I am anymore. Tega sat her down. Talk to me. Ephy explained everything. How Uvie convinced her to leave her job. How even Mama Uvie expected her to spend her days waiting for children. Tega shook her head. Ephy, you sacrifice too much for this marriage. A man who truly loves you should support your dreams, not silence them. Tega felt tears in her eyes. But I don't want to fight Uvie. Tega leaned forward. Then don't fight. But at least find yourself again. Ephy wiped her eyes. How? Tega smiled. Start small. Do something that makes you happy, even if Uvie doesn't know about it yet. Ephy thought about it all the way home. She had given up too much. Maybe it was time to take something back, even if it means keeping a secret. The next morning, Ephy woke up feeling different. She had made a decision, and for the first time in a long time, she felt a spark of excitement. She went about her chores quickly, making sure everything was in order before Uvie left for work. "I will be late today. Osas and I have a meeting," Uvie said as he adjusted his shirt. Ephy nodded, hiding her excitement. "All right, have a good day." As soon as he left, she changed into a simple dress, wrapped her headscarf tightly, and rushed out. She didn't go far. She stopped at a small marketplace where Mama Bimbo, an old trader, sold fabrics. She had learned sewing in school and in her former workplace. Her hands shook at first. It's been long she had done this, but as the needle moved in and out of the clothes, something inside her clicked. She was creating again. One afternoon, Tega visited. "Ephy, I see something in your eyes," she said, laughing. "You look alive." Ephy grinned. I started sewing again. Tega clapped her hands. "That's wonderful. Have you told Uvie?" Ephy's smile faded. "Not yet." Tega sighed. "You know you can't hide forever." Ephy knew she was right, but she also knew Uvie wouldn't approve. One evening as she started sewing, Uvie walked in unexpectedly. Ephy's hand trembled as she clutched the fabric. She looked up at Uvie, her heart pounding. His face was unreadable, but she could sense the disappointment beneath his calm expression. His eyes landed on the fabrics in her hands. "What is this?" he asked, his voice calm but firm. Ephy's heart pounded. She had been caught. Uvie stepped closer. "I asked you a question, Ephy. What is this?" Ephy swallowed hard. She had planned to tell him, but not like this. It's just something to keep me busy." Uvie picked up the half-sewn cloth and examined it. "You mean work?" Ephy hesitated. "Not exactly. It's just a hobby." Uvie dropped the fabric immediately. "Ephy, we talked about this. You don't need to work. I provide for this home." "I know, Uvie, but I feel useless sitting at home all day. I need to do something for myself." "Your job is to take care of this house. Is that not enough?" Ephy felt a lump in her throat. She wanted to scream that it wasn't enough, but she knew Uvie would not understand. "I am not selling anything. I'm just making clothes for fun." Uvie stared at her for a long moment. Then he sighed and turned away. "Do what you want, but don't let this become more important than your duties as a wife." Ephy continued sewing as it was no longer a secret. Uvie didn't talk about it, but she noticed how he sometimes looked at her work with disapproval. One afternoon, Tega visited and saw some of the dress she had sewn. "You should start selling these clothes. Oh. People will love them." Ephy shook her head. Uvie will never agree. Tega clicked her tongue. "Must you always ask for permission?" Ephy sighed. "I don't want problems in my marriage, Tega." Tega shook her head. "Ephy, you have given up your job for peace, and still you are unhappy. Now you have found something that makes you happy, and you are still afraid? When will you start living for yourself?" Ephy didn't answer. She had spent too much time waiting for Uvie's approval. It was time to take control of her life. The next morning, she gathered the clothes she had sewn and folded them into a basket. She glanced at Uvie, who was still asleep. Her heart pounded. If he found out, he would be angry. "But what about me? Don't I deserve to be happy? With that thought, she quietly left the house for the market. Mama Bimbo, she greeted nervously. The old woman looked up and smiled. Ah, Ephy, what brings you here? Ephy hesitated. I have some clothes I made. I was wondering if I could sell them here. Mama Bimbo's eyes lit up. You made clothes? Let me see. Mama Bimbo picked up one and examined the stitches and nodded. Ah, these are well made oh. You have talent. If he let out a breath, do you think people will buy them? Mama Bimbo laughed. Of course. In fact, I will buy the first one for my daughter. If his eyes widened. Really? Mama Bimbo reached into her wrapper and handed Ephy some money. Tears filled Ephy's eyes as she held the money. It wasn't much, but it was hers. The next morning, Ephy woke up feeling different. She had sold her first dress and made money. She moved around the kitchen with ease, humming a song as she prepared Uvie's breakfast. Uvie watched her. You seem happy this morning. Ephy smiled. I just feel good. After Uvie left for work, Ephy wasted no time. She gathered more fabrics, ready to sew new design. By afternoon, she was back at the market. Mama Bimbo smiled when she saw her. Ah, my new businesswoman is here. Ephy laughed. Mama Bimbo, I have more dresses with better designs. Ephy spends the rest of the afternoon watching people admire and buying her work. By the time the sun set, she had sold all the dresses. She walked home hiding the money in her purse. Days passed, and Ephy's small business began to grow faster than she had expected. More women came to Mama Bimbo's store asking for her dresses. Some even placed orders for custom designs. Mama Bimbo even introduced her to some people who wanted to buy in bulk. She saved every naira she made, hiding it in a small wooden box. One evening, Uvie looked at Ephy. You have been going to see Tega a lot these days. Ephy forced a smile. Yes, she keeps me company. Uvie just nodded, but didn't seem convinced. Ephy's heart pounded. She wanted to tell him the truth. But what if he got angry? What if he stopped her? She told herself she would tell Uvie when the time is right. But fate had other plans. One afternoon, as Ephy was arranging her fabrics, she heard a knock at the door. She rushed to open it, expecting Tega. Instead, she saw Mama Uvie standing there, arms crossed, her eyes scanning the room. Ephy forced a smile. Good afternoon, ma. Mama Uvie stepped inside without invitation. Where is my son? He is not home yet. Hope there is no problem, Mama. Mama Uvie shook her head. Then her gaze landed on the fabric spread on the table. What is this, Ephy? So it is true. Ephy hesitated. It's just something I do in my free time. Mama Uvie picked up a half-sewn dress and examined it. So you have started working again. Ephy hesitated. It is not really work, Mama. It's just a hobby. Mama Uvie scoffed. A hobby? That is how it starts. Next thing, you will start running around like a market woman instead of taking care of my son. Ephy swallowed hard. But Mama, I still do my duties, and Uvie never lacks anything. Mama Uvie shook her head. You think I do not know how this thing starts? So you will be making money and talking back at my son. Does he know you are selling these dresses? Ephy opened her mouth but didn't say anything. Mama Uvie's eyes widened. Ah, so you have been hiding it from him. Ephy, you are playing with fire. If Uvie finds out, you will not be happy. Ephy forced a smile. Mama, please don't tell him. I will talk to him myself. Mama Ovie gave her a long look, then picked up her bag. I will not say anything, but you better tell him before anyone does. Ephy watched her leave. She had planned to tell Ovie, but now she had no choice. Ovie returned home with excitement all over his face. Ephy was in the kitchen when he walked in. Ephy, guess what? Ephy turned, wiping her hand on the clothes. What is it? Osase's wife just got another huge contract. They are hosting a big celebration tonight. We should leave soon. Ephy just nodded. She didn't want to ruin the moment with her confession. The party was lively. The men sat in one corner discussing their wives' achievements. My wife was awarded Best Worker of the Year at her company, one man boasted. That's great. My wife got a brand new car from her company, another man said. Ovie leaned back as all eyes turned to him. Well, my wife loved being a housewife, he said proudly. Then he turned to Ephy, placing a hand on her knee. Isn't that right, my love? Ephy looked at all the faces around her, waiting for her response. But her mind was far away, lost in memories of the woman she used to be. The woman who loved her job. The woman who had her own money. Without words, she stood up, knocking over her chair. As she hurried away, in the restroom, Ephy locked the door, collapsed against it, sobbing. How had she let this happen? She had given up everything, only to sit and smile when men praised their wives for the things she once had. It was at that moment that reality hit her, that Ovie didn't want her to live her dreams. When they returned home, Ephy didn't say a word. While Ovie slept, she quietly packed her bags. By morning, she was gone to Tega's house. With her little savings, she rented a small shop and set up her sewing business. People admired her design, and within a month, business was booming. She expanded her shop by adding workers and more textile materials. People not only came for her sewing services, but also to buy fabrics. For the first time in a long while, Ephy felt truly happy. She was making her own decisions and living life on her own terms. It was at this point she decided to send divorce papers to Uvie. She didn't want to keep holding on to a past that no longer served her. And if she ever met someone else, she wouldn't want to keep him waiting because she wasn't divorced yet. The day to finalize the divorce arrived. Ephy dressed to kill. She wore a fitted blue dress that hugged at cuffs, a pair of heels that made her walk with confidence, and a light makeup that highlighted her beauty. When she arrived at the lawyer's office, she found Uvie already there. He stood up as soon as he saw her. His eyes widened in shock. Ephy looked nothing like the woman he had tried to control. She looked powerful and successful. Ephy sat down gracefully, crossing her legs. Uvie leaned closer. Ephy, I didn't intend for things to go this way. I was just scared. Ephy raised a brow. Scared of what? Uvie's voice dropped. Scared that if you started making your own money, you wouldn't respect me. Ephy let out a short laugh. Respect? Respect is earned, not forced. Mr. Uvie, sign the papers and go to hell. Uvie's shoulders slumped. He knew there was no hope left. With trembling hands, he picked up the pen and signed. Ephy let out a deep breath. Finally, she was free. As she walked out of the office, she smiled to herself. Never again would she let anyone take her dreams away. Thank you for watching the story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, please share your thoughts in the comment section below and also like and subscribe to this channel.